I asked more than 50 gym owners to let me do a complete audit on their website and rip them to shreds. And in this video, I'm going to show you what I learned. Okay, so your gym is probably beautiful inside. You probably have all the great equipment. You probably have the best coaches. But we have to understand if your website is subpar, you have poor pictures, poor navigation, and poor SEO, you are going to struggle to grow. One of the first things that you have to do is optimize your website for growth. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what I have learned working with over 1,000 affiliates, looking at hundreds of websites. How do you do some very simple things to optimize your website so that you can grow using your main sales tool? My name is Jason Fernandez, co-host of Best Hour of Their Day. And inside of Best Hour of Their Day, we have Affiliate University where we help hundreds and hundreds of affiliate owners all over the world, work with over 1,000 people the past 4 years. What we do is we help box owners build better boxes. In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to cover one of the many things that we help box owners with, which is helping them with their websites. Now, fundamentally, before we get started, we have to understand, why is this important to you? Because if I get something right, which is a very simple concept of just having some basic tools in place on my website, this has a compounding effect for the business. So simple things like having a button misplaced on your website or a poorly designed form can fundamentally decrease the amount of leads that you're going to get by 1 to 3 on any given month, which is 12 to 36 opportunities that are off the board for you as an affiliate owner. And one of the things that we never ever want to do as an affiliate owner is we never ever want to forfeit at bats when it comes to sales, because everything with the inside of the affiliate starts with a sale. So we want to optimize that. So inside of this video, we're going to put everything in 3 buckets to make this really, really simple. And we're going to walk through those 3 buckets right now. All right. So the 3 buckets that we're going to put everything that we're going to cover today in is going to be SEO, CRO, and then what's called UX. So there's tons and tons of acronyms in the internet world, and these are the ones that we're going to limit everything that we're going to talk about today to. So when we're talking about SEO, we're talking about search engine optimization. We're talking about CRO, we're talking about conversion rate optimization. And when we say UX, what we're talking about is user experience. So when we're talking about these 3, understand which ones you have a lot of control over and which ones you may not have as much control over, and also understanding which ones you can fix very quickly and which ones have a longer lead time. So right out of the gate, if we're talking about which ones can I fix very quickly and have usually a pretty good impact on conversion or ultimately just getting leads, is going to be conversion rate optimization and user experience. SEO is going to take a little bit longer. That's going to be things like, meta tags, tagging campaigns, blogging, a ton of different stuff. And most affiliate owners do not have the background or the time to really dig deep in SEO. Much of this is going to be dependent on who your website provider is. So inside of this, the websites that we're going to cover today, we are website agnostic. We do not sell websites. I have nothing to sell you inside of this video. I literally just want to provide as much value to you as possible. So everything that we're going to cover inside of these, and particularly with these 3 buckets, can be applied to any website. Doesn't matter if you have Wix, WordPress, anything at all. You have control to some degree of some of these. So let's dive into what each of these mean and then what you would be looking at on your website. And then we're going to start looking at some websites. So when we talk about SEO, what we are fundamentally just talking about is finding your gym, right? So we're talking about Google. So SEO, search engine optimization, search is in the word. We want to have some things built into that with regard to the copy that we're going to use on the website. So really, really important. But I want things like, if you have something like best gym in, Virginia Beach, that's an example of SEO, right? And if I am in Virginia Beach, I would want to have some copy that speaks to me being in Virginia Beach and speaks to me being the best gym in Virginia Beach. Outside of that, if you are going to have blogs on your website, you really want to make sure that your blogs are updated. So blogging is a long-term strategy, but we're not going to spend a ton of time in this particular video on SEO, but I do want to give you some examples of things that are SEO centric. And that's just, what is the copy on your website? And are you using blogs to capture things like key terms, using backlinks and stuff like that? That's a much longer strategy, and I would consider that maybe an advanced strategy. If you've got more time, you can use this over the long haul. But ultimately, the whole purpose of SEO is that you can move up in search rankings. That way, when somebody picks up their phone and picks up their computer and says, gym near me, that your gym ranks at the top. And these are just a handful of very simple things that you can do inside of that. Now, for CRO and UX are much more important in my opinion, because you have control of those. The impact of changing those or updating those or improving those is almost immediately. And this is what we help a lot of people do. And more importantly, it's free. You can make these changes yourself, and you will look at improving your lead flow as we work through. And fundamentally, let's go back real quick and talk about what is your website for. Okay, your website is like your dating profile. Okay, you want your website to do one thing. So, all vanity metrics aside, if a website does not deliver leads, then it is not a high-performing website. That's the only metric if I strip away everything and I only cover one thing, I want the website to deliver me a name, an email, a phone number, and that's it. If it's not doing that, then we need to start digging into some of these things. We need to start looking at SEO, CRO, UX, and fundamentally, you can start tweaking all of these incrementally to improve the number of leads that you're going to get, because that's how you're going to grow the gym. That's how you're going to get to impact more people, do all the things that we want to do as affiliate owners. So going back to CRO, conversion rate optimization. So when we're talking about conversion rate optimization, really all we're saying is we want people to take the next action. So we want them to click, right? This is what I'm trying to do when we're talking about conversion rate optimization. I want them to take the next action. So if they show up on my website, I want them to click the button that says schedule your consult, or schedule your free trial, or book a free session, or whatever that CTA is going to be for you. So when we're talking about CRO, the ultimate goal is a click. I want them to take the next action. So when we're talking about that, things that we're going to be looking at are things like CTAs. What are your calls to action on the website? What is the verbiage? What do the buttons look like? Do I have too many buttons? Do I not have any buttons? Is it not obvious? These are all things that factor into, does somebody take the single action that I want them to take on the website, which is to give me their information, okay? So we will talk a lot about this and we'll map this out. Now, the last thing on here is we're going to talk about user experience, and this is the visual component and the navigation component of that. So I want you to think, when we talk about user experience, this is going to be visual plus navigation, right? And when we say navigation, we're talking about, how is your menu structured inside of your website? Do you have 50 different options on the menu? Is it scattered and you have a main menu bar and then you have a drop-down menu, okay? If it's too much, if it's too cluttered, then people are not going to take the action that you want. So I want to make sure that this is top of mind. I want everything to be pretty simple. So thinking about, what does menu navigation look like? What do the photos look like on your website? Is it somebody snatching 225? Is it a picture of something that's not even necessarily have anything to do with your main offering, right? You offer group classes for adults, and it's a picture of somebody, doing nutrition coaching, right? Nothing wrong with the nutrition coaching, but think about the disconnect between those two things. So if you have videos, right, or we're having, if you've got like highlight videos and stuff like that, when we're talking about videos, what you need to be very careful of with videos is things like upload speed, right? So if you have things that are really, really high output on your website, what I want to think about is the upload speed going to be too slow? Meaning it's going to impact the user experience on there. So I want to be very cognitive, like, is my website not optimized for high quality images? Meaning if I've got images that are, really, really high quality, are they taking a really long time to load? And therefore the user experience, when somebody is basically just trying to see what's happening inside of the affiliate, it's really, really challenging for them to just get a view of what your gym looks like and feels like, and who are those people and what do they look like and what are they doing. So these are the three big buckets. Everything that we're going to talk about is going to fall somewhere inside of SEO, CRO, and UX. But what I'll tell you is we will mostly be looking at CRO and UX because those are free. They're easy to fix. And if you have simply the login to your website, you can update a lot of these things very, very quickly. Okay, so I want to give you guys a quick rundown on CRO, or conversion rate optimization. I like to call it click rate optimization because one of the things we like to do is basically do a click test on any given website that we're looking at. So if I were to look at any number of websites, it would not be weird for me to see something that looks like this navigation, which if we're looking at the website, somebody shows up to the homepage, there's a button somewhere located on the homepage, I click that button, and then that takes me into some sort of booking sequence. Usually I'll click the date, meaning I want to come in on Wednesday, and then I'm going to pick a time, and then I'm going to give my contact info, and then I might go into a waiver, at which point I'm going to give, all sorts of other information. But what you can see here, and sometimes the waiver is even before this. But the whole point here is, let's just say I show up to the website, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it would not be weird at all to be 11 clicks into this process for me as the person trying to give you my information at the gym before I actually submitted my information at the gym. And fundamentally, what's going to happen when we do this is they're going to fall off somewhere in this process. And that is counter to what we want to actually happen. So we want the click rate to be as few clicks as humanly possible. So in a perfect world, they would show up to the homepage. They would go directly to the CTA, and in that CTA, they would give their info. And in a lot of instances, this can be done in maybe 2 clicks. If I've built my forms correctly and they have sticky contacts filled in there, when I go from the homepage to the CTA and I click schedule consult, when I show up to that form, my info will automatically populate in there, and all I have to do is hit submit. And this is going to be a much better version of how we want to design the CRO on the website. So when it comes to CRO and conversion, less is more. I do not want to take people into a waiver sequence. If you're going to do self-booking, I highly encourage you collect info first and then take them into the booking sequence or whatever you want to do afterwards. But ultimately, the only thing that I care about capturing when it comes to any of this stuff is their contact info. I need to capture this. So the earlier and the faster we can collect that information, the better off we are. Because once I collect that, I don't care if they book or not. I'm going to follow up with them anyway. So I wanted to cover this, and I wanted to show you just basically what we'll see on a very regular basis on websites. And this would be a bad version, and this would be a good version. So if you have something like this, change it to this. I can almost assuredly tell you that your leads will increase in that process. Because what we don't really know for the most part, because most websites are not set up to track these appropriately, is we don't know how many people we're losing in this process. So if I can just reduce it, I'm going to collect more people in that process. So let's dive in. We're going to start looking at some websites. Before we dive into the websites, we have permission for all of these people. These are all clients that we work with, and they've given me the privilege of looking at their websites. And some of them just said, just roast me. I don't even know what's going on my website. But the whole purpose for all this is you guys have a website if you're watching this. Everybody in the CrossFit space, by definition of having a CrossFit affiliate, it's in your CrossFit affiliate agreement that you must have a website. So hopefully this information is going to help people. We want to optimize that stuff for you. Okay, so let's take a look at our first website. So we're here at Ironclad CrossFit. Danielle was literally just at my gym doing some coach development stuff. And what we're going to take a look at here is a couple different things. So navigation wise, this website is pretty clean. There's nothing super crazy. She's got ebooks on here. Ebooks can be great lead magnets. All that stuff is can be very valuable if set up correctly. So a couple things right off the bat. If I scroll down here, I'm going to venture to guess that these are stock images, right? If they're not, I apologize, but these kind of look like stock images. This one for sure is a stock image. This one maybe not, but try to avoid using stock images. Have somebody come in and take high quality photos of your members, because you want the people that are navigating your website or checking out your gym to see the people that are in your gym. So if you can, get rid of stock images, and particularly images that, particularly like this on the home page, that just have a picture of the gym. I want to have a picture of the people in the gym. So when we're thinking about our website, what is the message that I'm communicating to them? And the message that I really want to communicate to people is that, like, this is a welcome community where you're going to get the results that you came for. And we can't overlook how much images speak to that message or do not speak to that message. So right out of the gate, I would have update of some of the photos on here. So let's talk some CRO here. So we've already talked a little bit of user experience. Like, this is good navigation. Everything is pretty obvious here, but I would update the photos. So let's click in here and see what happens if we go to the form here. All right, so we go to the form, and okay, so this is interesting. This is kind of old school a little bit. So what they have set up here is kind of a split offering. And this used to be very prominent, probably maybe like 7-8 years ago, where you'd have a different example of schedule a free intro or free trial classes, new CrossFitter or experienced CrossFitter. So what I've done is I've kind of split the pipeline, and they can go one of two directions. Generally speaking, we don't find that to be optimal anymore. What we recommend is one offer, one funnel, one form, and just funnel everybody into one place, regardless of what the actual copy says. Because remember, the people showing up to this website uh, don't necessarily know what a no sweat intro is, and they don't know what the difference between that is and a free trial class. So I don't want to create confusion right out of the gate. So I would simplify these and have one offering. And then everybody comes in there, and if they are an experienced CrossFitter or they have other information, you're going to sort that out down the line anyway. So we're one click into this, and let me just click the no sweat intro. And this is probably going to go to a booking form. Nate's going to speed some of this up for me because page not found. Okay, so that's bad. Let's go back. Let's go to free trial class and see if that loads. Okay, so this one for sure is going to load. So for sure, I would check this and make sure that this is good. And make sure that always check all the pages on your website. I found somebody else's website that was completely not loading yesterday when I was doing some of this. So check your website, check it frequently. Okay, so this one goes into basically a waiver sequence. So what's going to happen here is if you put, Bob at Hotmail, right? And then I go continue. What's going to happen is this is going to take me into a bunch. So now I'm creating a login and a password. So at this point, if I'm just trying to set up a free intro, like I don't even want to go through with this process anymore because this is now out of order. I've gone into essentially what is a waiver sequence when I'm really just trying to figure out what's this gym about? Like, what do they offer? Classes, pricing structure, what services do they offer? So again, this is an example of CRO where you're going to have a tremendous amount of drop off. Now, here's the interesting part. A lot of people have a setup similar to this and still get conversions, which is crazy because the number of actions I have to take as an end user is incredibly high in order to get where I want to go. So I would want to have something much, much simpler. So to give you an example of something, if you go here and I go to free consult, right, I'm going to go to this form and this form is going to populate. There's a VSL here, and this is just going to be name, email, phone number, boom, and I'm going to submit that, and that's a consult. So I'm going to get 2 clicks into this, give you the information. And we've played around at my gym for years with all sorts of stuff with regard to how we actually do the consult. Is it a free class? Is it foundations? Is it a consult? Is it a discovery call? It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want, but the point is simplify the front end. And this is an example of a CRO nightmare. Because you're taking somebody into a process that is far too lengthy for them to actually give you the one thing that you want them to give you, which is name, email, phone number. Okay, so that's our first website. Let's move to another one. Okay, so we're going to look at the Loop now. So Mitch crushes over at his gym. Again, the navigation here is clean. They've got a little chat bot over here. This is nice and user-friendly. So let's give Mitch a shout out, right? So this is a coach coaching an athlete. There's clearly somebody smiling in the background. This communicates, what it is that they got going on at their gym. I love the fact they even have the kind of this t-shirt on the background, which is eat clean, train dirty, right? Like that kind of communicates a little bit of what they're about at their gym. If we scroll down a little bit, there's a little bit of a, hero's journey going on here. If I look at some of these photos, yep, coach, high five. Clearly there's some people here working on PVC pipes. There's a lady here doing a front squat. This communicates what they do. So all in all, I'll give this kind of like a B plus. But when you're thinking about photos on here, the reason I'm giving this a B plus is because these are actual photos from his gym. So that's where you definitely want to start. Where you could enhance these is I largely want to have photos of people doing what almost anybody could do on the website. So leave out the snatching and the muscle ups and the handstand walks and just put things like dumbbells, kettlebells, box step ups, any cardio equipment, because I don't want to turn off people if they show up to your website and it's got some guy with veins popping out of his neck, which is cool, but not cool if you're trying to start your CrossFit journey. So from a UX standpoint, I think this is good so far. So let's click this as no sweat intro. Okay, so if we look at forms, this is another one that we recommend changes on, which is simplify your forms. So when we're looking at this page, what we're looking at here is I've got name, first name, last name, email, phone number, tell us more, anything else, and then I agree to terms. You're gonna have to put that on there because of communication laws at this point. What we recommend is take out tell us more, take out anything else you want to tell us, take out anything that looks like how did you find us. You're gonna get all that information on the back end, okay? Because every single one of these is an additional click. Let's say that these auto-populate, right? So if we go back to that, let's just say we got 1 click to this page, 2 click to auto-populate here. It's not going to put anything for tell us more. That's 4, that's 5, that's 6, that's 7 clicks to get this form submitted. And this one's even simpler than the previous one, and we're still at 7 at this point, okay? So when we're talking about forms, simplify your forms. Take out literally everything else. The things that you want to capture, if it's about search and where they found you, can all be captured after the fact. You can get that information further on in the inquiry cycle than right out of the gate. There's a ton of ways that you can do this very simply, but always, always, always simplify your forms. And this is a perfect example of something that's pretty clean, but could be simplified even further. Okay, so let's go to another website. All right, now we're going to take a look at CrossFit Buckhead. This is in Atlanta. I was literally just there for the affiliate tour we're at. Really cool spot, beautiful facility, completely revamped. And I do know, I haven't looked at it, but I do know, because we were talking about it, I do know that Allie has recently made some changes to this website with regard to some different things on here, which we're going to navigate, and I'm going to check to make sure she actually did them. So right out of the gate, I love this picture, right? Just boom, coach, athlete, high five, lots of good vibes here. And this is what you want to communicate. Again, it says CrossFit. It's assumed that you work out. Working out doesn't have to be the first thing that I see on the picture on the website. Again, it is assumed that somebody shows up here that they understand that working out is going to happen. Again, if we're talking about CRO, I would make this button a different color. It almost blends right into the coach's shirt here. By the way, she is super fit, like way fitter than I am. But again, and I love this too, trusted in Atlanta since 1994. That speaks to authority in your space. I would make this even a little bit more prominent. Okay, so just a couple things that pop out there. Again, we've got a little bit of a hero's journey going on here. Yep, this is a coach coaching an athlete. This looks like something that most people could do. Boom. I think I already know what's going on for a free trial class. We've kind of covered this already. Yeah, so this is an example of what I talked about before. So I click that button, and then I have to go date, time, and then I'm going to fill this out. We're going to get 5 to 7 clicks into this before I actually hit submit. And again, anything past 2 or 3, the conversion rate is going to drop off. And you might be asking, how much is it going to drop off? And I'm going to say, who cares? If it drops off any, then I want to avoid it. But let's go back. So let's talk about with this website, because I know she recently changed this. Should you or should you not have pricing on the website? So I know she recently made some changes to this. And okay, so she took the pricing off of the website. And I do know that leads have gone up since then. And this is really important. How much are leads going to go up? I don't know, but let's assume that it's not 0. And if it's just 1 per month, that's 12 per year. If it's 2 per month, that's 24. If it's 3 per month, that's 36. You guys can all do math. But the point is, I'm going to get more leads by taking the pricing down. And this is something that if I think about how this impacts the sales process, if I put the prices on the website, I'm going to lose sales because there's no opportunity for me to communicate value. And this is very simple verbiage that she has on this pricing site. It says memberships come in all shapes and sizes, month-to-month, personal training packages, fill in your details to request your plan options. And we'll talk a little bit more about the verbiage here. But what she's done here is very subtly communicated that they have multiple different types of offerings. Some are going to be your standard offerings. Some of those are going to be premium offerings. And this is already setting the stage for me as a buyer about the questions I'm going to ask. Maybe it's going to have some influence on prices that I'm going to expect to hear when the coaches or the staff reaches out to me about joining this gym. Okay, so a couple things on this one. Take your prices off your website unless you just have people falling out your doors and you have more money than you know what to do with. I highly recommend taking the prices off for multiple reasons, but mainly you just don't want to turn down opportunities for sales. Okay, now let's move to another one. All right, so let's take a look at Robco CrossFit. And this is in Texas. Right out of the gate, this has a bit of a boxy kind of outdated feel to the website just based on how the outline of the boxes looks and the navigation menu. It just feels like an older kind of like Word, older website. And again, I think this stuff is cool. Like I think boxes that look like this and have a little bit of a rugged feel are super rad. But what is this communicating? It's not communicating anything other than that they have a space and they have equipment in there. So if we look at, I don't think they have memberships. Yeah, so they have contact us, and then they have nutrition coaching on here, personal training. This is all pretty standard. if we go back to the home page, um, here is something, okay, so here is something that I do notice, which is, when we're filming this, obviously summer is coming up, but this is something to consider with regard to what you put on your website and where you put it. So if I scroll down, the first offering that I see is CrossFit Kids, and that may or may not be their main offering. It's not, but this is something that they are running right now because they're running into summer. But understand this does communicate potentially that this is a youth training facility, which very few CrossFit affiliates, their primary service offering is youth training. And if that is the case, then that should be the prominent thing in your website. If it's not the case, then I want to make sure that the main things that I'm going to see as I navigate on the homepage are my core offerings, and I would want to find other places to put this. The other reason I would argue that this is probably out of place is that most of the kids that you're going to get in any sort of youth training programs are going to come directly from your clients, at which point I wouldn't necessarily need to put this in a prominent position on my website. This feels like wasted real estate. I would want to have something that speaks to other premium services or other pain points or problems that people are dealing with. Maybe it's nutrition, maybe it's weight loss, maybe it's pain relief. But think about your primary, ideal target audience, and like what would be a problem that they would have on the website, or that they would have that I could speak to on the website. And it's probably not that they have kids, right? So I would put this somewhere else, and maybe not even on the page at all, or maybe on a different page navigating from the menu somewhere else as a kind of sub offering, but I definitely would not have it placed right here. Outside of that, I think these are great pictures, maybe a little bit higher quality. This seems a little bit pixelated. This is a great picture down here at the bottom. So I want to zoom into this right here. So this is a fantastic example of things that you would want to communicate on your website. Like clearly to me, this says like, this is a family run operation, right? We've got, what looks like, I don't know how old these people are, but maybe these are kids, grandkids, maybe multiple generations. Either way, it's really cool, and I get good vibes from this photo. And this is what I would have riddled all over the website, right? Whether it's the staff and the owners or other members inside of there, because usually what you'll find is that the owners are going to have a lot of influence on the type of people that buy from the business. And you'll have a lot of other families. Like at our gym, we have a ton of parents at our gym, right? Like Jess and I are parents at this point, so the mom's class in the 9 a.m. to 10:30 is packed out, and there's kids everywhere all the time in the kids' room. So again, think about what it is you're communicating and who's the audience that you want to appeal to. And you can communicate that we're a family-run facility with this without necessarily speaking to, hey, we're running a kids program. I can subtly say that here with this photo, and then I can speak to my clients who are probably going to be my primary buyers of that anyway. So again, just another example of kind of some user experience stuff in here with regard to websites, and then photos, and then what do those photos look like and who are they speaking to? Okay, so let's do one or two more and then we'll wrap this up. All right, so now let's take a look at CrossFit Ingenuity. And right out of the gate, again, this also has a bit of a antiquated feel to it. Again, super boxy. The navigation bar over here feels jammed up. Now, here is something that I think is interesting. The primary offer is tucked up here in the corner, really small, a 3-WOD trial. I don't mind the 3-WOD trial. I wouldn't use, CrossFit lingo in the trial offer, because if a new person doesn't know what WOD is, they might not take the action that I want them to take. So maybe it's a 3-class trial or a week trial or something like that. But if you're going to make an offer, make sure that the offer has, normal person speak and not crazy people speak, because we speak like crazy people and they don't know what that means yet. Eventually we'll put them in Nano 2s and they'll have, all the fancy swag, but right now they don't know any of that stuff. So we don't want to speak that way on the website. Now, this is something interesting. The first thing that is prominent on here is unlimited membership access comes with unlimited membership comes with 24/7 access. We have Hybrid AF at our gym. I'm a big fan of extended access. However, there are downsides to that, right? So it can be a bit of a slippery slope. And as much as I love it, I don't know that I would have it prominently posted here, because this subliminally gives off the vibe that this has, less value with regard to coaching, and you can just come in and do whatever you want. So again, we don't want to overlook how subtle things like this impact what people assume when they show up to your website. And stuff like this communicates, a regular Globo gym, which it is not. It is a CrossFit gym. And clearly there's people in a class. It looks like they're being coached here. Again, this is a little bit of pixelated photo. Maybe this is probably just too big for this website. I think probably zoomed in a little bit too much for this one. But this is a good photo. I think it's clearly coaching. You know, he's clearly talking about an overhead squat, something like that. That doesn't matter. This is a good photo. You know, they're running, smiling. I think all of that is really good. And stuff like this, I think you can zoom in just a little bit more, but showcasing the community, I think, is always very, very beneficial. Okay. So again, think about what you're communicating on that first page. When somebody shows up to your page, like what's the first thing that they see? What's the first thing that they interpret? And then ultimately, what's the first action that they're going to take? And I'm not even sure, I'm not even sure if somebody would know what to do here at this point, because maybe they go to contact, you know, maybe they go to 3-rod trial, if they even know what that means. So I would do an overhaul on this from a navigation standpoint and from a user experience standpoint. All right, now let's wrap this up with something that I think, a website that I think is pretty well put together. Okay, so we're going to take a look at CrossFit Artifact here, and right out of the gate, this has a lot of good things going on the homepage. I don't have to scroll anywhere, I don't have to go anywhere, but we can talk about the number of things that are happening here. So let's start with UX right out of the gate. So if we're looking at photos right out of the gate, there's two ladies here smiling, clearly having a good time, right? They're hanging from the pull-up bar. Most people can hang from a pull-up bar, and even if they can't, they can imagine themselves hanging from a pull-up bar. So right out of the gate, giving me good vibes. If we're talking about CRO, it is very obvious that I should either click this button or this button, but both of them pop out to me and say, hey, you should take this action, okay? So right out of the gate, we've got good UX, we've got good CRO, and then we're gonna compound that with good SEO. And what I mean by that is, what we have here is immediately, again, I do not have to navigate away from the homepage. I've got Google reviews immediately placed on the homepage, and they're scrolling automatically here. So this is all 5-star reviews saying like, hey, Micah has helped me so much with lifts. Little tweaks in form have made lifts and moves so much easier. Fantastic, right? Like very simple example of how you can communicate what is happening inside of the gym. Now let's test this. What happens if, yeah, perfect. So this clicks to a button, name, email, phone number, boom, we're done. So this is an example of a really well put together website, and we haven't even navigated away from the homepage. And that is probably the main takeaway from this whole video, is that I shouldn't have to scroll anywhere to get all of those things packed into one visual shot, right? Smiling faces of people doing stuff what they can do, clear call to action that's obvious that I should go there, and social proof that helps my SEO, all packed in a really, really good punch. And this is a really good example. If I scrolled through here, we would probably find a lot of other good things in here. Yep, smiling faces, community. But I think this is a really good place to end, because I want to communicate how simple this actually needs to be. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. You can make a lot of significant improvements to your website by just keeping it really, really simple and understanding those 3 key topics: SEO, CRO, and UX. So we've covered quite a bit here. I hope this stuff is super helpful. There are endless number of things that you could track as an affiliate owner, particularly on your website when it comes to all things on the interwebs. Keep it simple. Start with those 3 things, right? Basic SEO things, your town, best gym in wherever, okay? When you're talking about UX, pictures of people doing things that people can do. When it comes to CRO, simple is always better. Run the basic click test on your website. If it's any more than 4 or 5, you need to reduce the number of actions that somebody needs to take to give you the information so that you can then reach out to them, okay? And again, why is this important to you? It is important because when you make those changes, if it just gives you 1 to 2 more leads per month, it's free. I like free. You like free. You're watching this video for free. So make those changes because they're free. And ultimately, they will improve the quality and quantity of leads that you get on your website. I'm not saying you're not going to run into other hiccups in there, but I'll take those other hiccups. I will always take more at bats because I can solve that problem too with sales training. And by making some of these simple changes, you can help grow your gym, and it's not going to cost you any money. You don't have to do anything crazy. And ultimately, you're going to be able to impact more people. You're going to run a better gym. You're going to be able to invest in your staff, and you're going to have a cool looking website. So I hope this helps. If you guys have questions, this is one of the many things we help affiliate owners with all the time inside of Affiliate University. We do website audits with people all the time. All of these folks are clients. We're working with all of them to get some changes on their website. But I hope this helps. And ultimately, if you find this stuff valuable, please share this with another affiliate owner. Share this with somebody who you think could benefit from this information, because we want as many box owners to be as successful as humanly possible. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Thanks for checking out this episode of the Best Hour of Their Day podcast. We appreciate you listening and choosing to have us help you in your passion for coaching and affiliate ownership. You can find more episodes just like this on all podcast platforms. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to us on any social media platforms, or you can visit www.besthouroftheirday.com to book a call. If you found this episode helpful for you, please share it so that we can help other coaches and affiliate owners to help build a bigger and stronger CrossFit community. Thanks for listening.